plenty of guilt rattling around the Cowboys organization today, or feelings of regret, remorse, whatever you may. And this is this was part of the talk I had with my son last week after he was still. And I think although I think he realizes that, like, there's no way the Vikings would have won this weekend if they had played the 49ers. But early last week I said it hurts more. I heard Steve Young say this years ago. It hurts more the higher you go when you finally get bounced.
Sure.
And it hurts the teams that lost this week, and I think far more than if they had lost last week in the wild card round. And it had to hurt the Cowboys. I mean, the Cowboys gave the 49ers a better game than I thought they would. I was still stunned the line was only 4. I thought the 49ers were a 7 to 10 point proposition in this game. I thought the 49ers would have an easier day, but right out of the gates, I assume you noticed this. Right out of the gates, I mean, the Cowboys were aggressive to the ball. They were hitting. They played the 49ers the way the 49ers play everybody else.
Agreed. It's really one of the things that was out there throughout the day, and I kind of, even talking to my wife. My wife got to see the Cowboys in person earlier this year. She knew how impressive they were. Remember, it was the Monday night game against the Giants. Her and my son were like, the Cowboys seem bigger and faster than the Giants. Well, yeah, they are. But I agree with you, Mike. They were flying around the football field. And I think that was the great thing about that matchup. We had two teams that had, a lot of freaky players across the board. And we know Dallas, a momentum team, those many alpha male, I can do it myself, forget the scheme, I can make a play, do that. They rise to the occasion more times than not in those situations. They do. And you're right, Mike. There was some hitting. They were all over some of the Shanahan tricks, the speed sweeps, the screens, all of that. None of that was available. They did a lot of admirable things. They did. Ultimately, it's what we talked about a little, and we'll dive into this more, but the size of the 49ers, or lack of size on Dallas's defensive line, started to get worn out little by little. But, yeah, the game's got a lot to unpack here, Mike, and 49ers won it. They're tough. We know that. They're one of the best teams in football, but Dallas is, hung toe-to-toe with them. There's no question about that.
49ers now in the NFC Championship for the third time in 4 seasons. 12 straight wins for a team that began 3-4.
Yeah.
7-0 technically for Brock Purdy as a starter, but it's really 8-0 because he came in and won that Dolphins game at some point in the first quarter when Jimmy Garoppolo suffered his injury. And Purdy was the big question mark, obviously. How does he perform with each elevation?
Right.
From wild card to divisional to championship game. Is he going to become the weak spot for the 49ers? And he's done nothing to suggest that he's incapable of rising to the occasion. And every time that he checks a box, it gives him more confidence when the pressure gets higher the next round. And so, I mean, pressure he's never seemed to wilt at all. The worst moment that we saw from him was his first throw of the Seahawks game where the ball slipped out of his hands, and you can go one of two ways there. You can say, well, the chariot's turned into a pumpkin, or you can just shake it off and move on, and he shook it off and moved on.
I agree. I mean, yeah, he's got great composure. He has not looked like a deer in the headlights. He's taken advantage of what's there to be had. And really, Mike, I mean, honestly, that's where I want to – and part of what we saw yesterday, too, not a lot of great plays, right? It wasn't a sexy win, but I think that was, like, the biggest thing that I came away with. That was a game where, I think Kyle Shanahan showed great maturity and patience as a head coach, about as much as I've ever seen. And I know he's my friend. He's my friend. He's awesome coach, all that. We know he's usually ultra aggressive and goes after it and make plays, and we're going to just keep pressing you with unbelievable scheme and everything that way. That was a game yesterday, to kind of what you're talking about with Brock Purdy, no big mistakes, played within himself. I thought Shanahan helped him get there. I think Shanahan and the 49ers played a game where they went, you know what? We maybe could be sexy and make big plays and put out a lot of highlights. But if we do that, there might be a risk with that. And that might be, wait, I've dropped back to pass too many times, and now Micah Parsons get a strip sack. Or, what we saw in the game happened once or twice where a ball got tipped and, Trayvon Diggs almost has an interception. Plays like this where, it's a great play, but it's by the skin of your teeth, and that could have been a disaster as well. So that's where I thought Shanahan was great here. He was patient. The run game wasn't killing it, but he stayed with it. But the one thing he wasn't going to let go happen, and the one thing I think he thought where his team maybe was at a disadvantage, was that great Cowboys pass rush. And he did a great job, I thought, of kind of playing the game right way to win the football game and not necessarily win, wow points from everybody in the media. And I thought that was impressive to me, being a football guy and a friend of Kyle Shanahan.
And the bottom line is he understood the quality of the opponent.
Right,
he
exactly.
respected them. He saw what they did Monday night in Tampa Bay.
Right.
And he knew that from a physicality standpoint, the Cowboys came very close to matching the 49ers.
Agreed.
What the 49ers do all the time. And that's why I'm excited about 49ers Eagles, because those are the two ultimate physical kick-your-butt teams right now, balanced on both sides of the ball. So that one's going to be fun, and it'll be here before we know it. Purdy also, this is amazing, joins Joe Flacco and Mark Sanchez as the only rookies to win 2 playoff starts in the same season. Flacco did it in 2008. Sanchez did it with the Jets in 2009. And now Purdy has a chance to win playoff start number 3.
Similar team formula, right? And those great defenses, can run the ball. Hey, quarterback, just make a few plays for us here and there, kind of be clutch, right? That's what it is. I think the 49ers are that, but to a greater level. I mean, and better than that Ravens team we're talking about, or the Jets team, right? But, yeah, some similarities there. And then I think when you add in the Shanahan tricks and the talent that the 49ers have an offense, that makes them more dangerous. The 49ers, I think, are more talented than those Jets or Ravens teams that they didn't have Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, and Christian McCaffrey. I know that. So that's where, you're right about this weekend's awesome. And Mike, to my point, I know you and I were texted a little at the end of the first half, right? We were, why aren't the 49ers going after it here, right? Dak Prescott throws the interception, which was a huge moment in the game. Both of Dak's interceptions were huge moments in the football game, in a one-score type of game. But, the 49ers, hey, Greg Olsen, everybody's questioning it. Wait, why are they doing this? But, I know I texted you, because remember that one play right before they kicked the field goal? Michael Parsons got there and almost stripped Brock Purdy. I think they were being conservative and just going, hey, we're going to be smart. And if we got to go in 6-6, that's fine. Hopefully we can go 9-6. And they played it right. It reminded me of New England-y almost. We're just going to win the game. We don't care what it looks like. And that's where I want to give the 49ers some credit.
Well, and their defense, yet again, proving that it is and
elite.
Why it is the best in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
The key has always been just keep those guys healthy, because they are badasses who play with reckless abandon and no regard for their own physical condition, and you can and will get injured that way, but they've managed. And I think that's the big key.
Yeah.
There's no injury concern. Somebody said last night maybe Christian McCaffrey's banged up a little bit. We saw his touches go down in the second half, but he battles through everything.
Right.
And even if he is a little banged up, I think he'll be good to go. And Elijah Mitchell was running hard down the stretch as well.
That's
although
right.
He had a gaffe we'll talk about coming up. That almost cost the 49ers. But that defense with those 2 interceptions.
Right, they were huge.
The first one was that first one
was what the F.
Yeah, I mean, you can't have that in this moment.
No, right.
What are you looking at? What are you throwing at? And I know he had Eric Armstead in his face.
Yeah.
But you just can't pull the trigger on this one.
No, that's right. See throws, right? These are things, too, that probably should have known through context clues just as he's dropping back what the coverage is. That's one's unmistakable. This one's not much better. It's not. Again, not seeing the throw, not seeing the full field, kind of just taking weight. I think this is what they're in. He should be one-on-one with the backer, and then not seeing the full scope of what the coverage is. And Jimmy Ward's down there. I think, hey, the 49ers, they play a lot of quarters. I'm guessing that's quarters, where they end up bracketing the guy there. Or maybe it is a bracket and a double team. I got to see the film. But either way, those are 2 costly decisions. You're right. And again, it's a game that was 19-12. That first interception, 3 points for the 49ers. Second interception, take 3 points, I think, off the board. We don't know with Brett Maher. I mean, that was a thing yesterday. But either way, it gave 3 more points so you could say that was a 3-point swing, a 6-point swing, whatever you want. But certainly huge differences in the game, both of those turnovers, Mike. And just, $45 million a year superstar quarterback. Those are ones that are hard to swallow.
Well, and it is hard to make great decisions all the time when you have Nick Bosa, Eric Armstead,
yeah, they got some big dudes in front of
in your
right,
face.
Right.
That makes it a challenge to process the information. And you've almost got to get to the point where we know Tom Brady has been for years and where Joe Burrow already is, where you know where you're throwing the ball before you even have it.
Yeah, you know your
rid of it
emergency plan, right?
Where you have where you have Eric Armstead in your face forcing the issue, and there's nothing you can do at this point other than get rid of the ball and take the hit that Dak took after he got rid of it. But overall, throughout the day, the 49ers defense did what it needed to do. And I somebody asked me about it on Saturday. What do you think about the Cowboys? Well, I just, look, Dak had such a great game on Monday night. Just because you have one great game doesn't mean every game you play after that is going to be great.
Right.
There's too much inconsistency with the Cowboys offense, too much inconsistency with Dak. Cowboys fans are up in arms about Dak now. They were trending throughout the trade Dak, bench Dak, this Dak, that Dak. I mean, I know the feeling when you have a quarterback that can take you so far, but not any farther. The difference is Dak takes them to the point where they bump against the conference championship game. Kirk Cousins takes the Vikings to the point where they bump against the divisional round game and one time got to it and got splattered by the 49ers as they would have yesterday if they had made it to that game.
Yeah.
So, again, what do you do? If you're the Cowboys, what do you do? What can you do? And I was astounded by this. Everybody knows it's been 27 now, at least 28 years since the Cowboys have been to the conference championship game. I went back and I counted up the seasons and the conference championship appearances, 95 previous and 96 forward.
Yeah.
I've never done that.
Right.
It wasn't hard to do, which qualified me to do it. And I still checked it 2 or 3 times because there was a chance I was going to screw something up. The conference championship format started 1970 with the merger.
Jeez.
So in the 26 seasons.
What is it?
1970
10
to 1995. The Cowboys were in 14 times.
Yeah, I was going to say 10, 12, right.
14 times
Jeez.
out of 26.
It's amazing.
14.
It's amazing.
27 years since then, 0. Again, you go back to me after the Cowboys beat Brett Favre and the Packers, January 14, 1996, the day that Jim Harbaugh almost beat the Steelers with a Hail Mary. I was at that game. Got home in time to see the tail end or second half or whatever of Cowboys-Packers. If you had told me at that moment, just 3 days before I found out my wife was pregnant with my 26-year-old son, that the Cowboys would not play in a conference championship game until January 2024 at the earliest, I would have said, you, sir, are crazy. That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my entire life, and I would bet everything I own that doesn't happen. And it's happened. And who knows when they're going to make it? Who knows how long this streak's going to last?
Yeah, well, who knows? They're knocking on the doorstep. They're close. And yes, Cowboy fans, come on. Let's not go to Crazyville. It wasn't great yesterday. I understand that.
I need company.
Well,
I need company.
I know you want company.
I'm still living there after Kirk Cousins.
I hear you.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.